Morning everyone, we're in the garden right now, and in today's video I wanted to show you the full styling process of this beautiful and elegant feminine collected larch which sits right behind me. So sit back, relax and enjoy the video. Hi. So this larch was collected by friends of mine on the north shore of Quebec a few years ago, and actually in 2022 in the fall I decided to get this tree into my collection through an exchange actually against a big ficus that had been gifted to me back then. So in the spring of 2023 I did a demonstration in Quebec City at the local bonsai club over there. So that was the starting point in the spring of 2023. And then this is the result after the 2-hour demonstration that I had done for the club over there with the help of my good friend Alex Imbo. And then I left the tree untouched during the 2023 growing season. And then in the spring of 2024, I decided to circle back to it to fine wire all of the branches, do some adjustments on the primary branches as well, but most importantly, compressing significantly the apex such that it sits right below the big band at the top of the tree. This way I could better highlight this feature. The first step is what you see me doing here, which is removing the old needles that are still on the tree. At this time of the year in the spring, it is very easy to remove. Just have to be careful not to damage the swelling buds in the process. So just go slowly, be gentle, and go all around the tree. Next up is the deadwood work, and I begin this by removing the old bark using a specialized tool called the Rudy Band, which is available online. Just do a quick Google search. And I do so to expose the wood grain so that it starts aging through being exposed to the element like snow, sun, wind, hail, rain, etc. Something else you can do at this time of the year is to open up new cherries on the trunk. And for that, you can use a very sharp knife and just go around, for example, any pieces of gins and open up the cherry onto the trunk and the living vein. And to do that, you want to make sure that your knife is very, very sharp so that you create some clean cuts into the living parts of the tree. And this way, this tree will have an easier time to heal up and patch up the damage. Whenever you are creating new deadwood, one thing you have to keep in mind is to ensure that everything looks as natural as possible. And when it comes to gin work, what I like to do is to use a pair of root cutters, and I split the tips several times. And then I come in with a pair of regular pliers and I split them off, just breaking them randomly to create the most natural appearance as possible. In nature, newly created deadwood would have straight and sharp edges, whereas older deadwood would be more rounded and have smoother edges. So to recreate this effect, what I do here is that I use a blowtorch and I set the tips on fire, so I burn them off to smooth out the edges. And doing so also opens up new fissures on the deadwood, thereby accelerating the aging process of the deadwood altogether. Once you are satisfied and done with the burning process, don't forget to remove the soot using a steel wire brush, and that is to prepare the wood to receive the lime sulfur. Before applying the lime sulfur, you want to sprinkle the deadwood with just regular water and let the water sit for maybe 10 to 15 minutes onto the deadwood so that it has time to open up the pores. And this way your lime sulfur will penetrate further into the wood, thereby increasing its antifungal properties or action. Because first and foremost, lime sulfur is applied to prevent the fungal degradation of the deadwood. So the deeper it gets into the wood, the better. Some people like to dilute lime sulfur with water, maybe 50-50 or 1/3, 2/3. I personally appreciate the stark contrast that lime sulfur provides between the living and the dead parts of a tree. So I typically go with 100% lime sulfur, so undiluted, straight from the bottle. Once all the deadwood work has been finally completed, it is now time to shift focus to the branches. Now, because the primary branches had been more or less set into position the year before, it means that there's no need to apply any additional structural wire. Yet this is what I would typically do at this stage. But this year we can skip that step. Nevertheless, I felt that the structure needed to be fine-tuned, and to this end, I simply use guy wires. Guy wires are very effective when it comes to large primary structure setting because larches have long and flexible branches. Before proceeding with the fine wire of all the branches that are still on wire on the tree, I like at this stage to just cut off any excessively long branches that I know for sure won't be part of the final design. But for the most part, I don't reduce them a lot because who knows, once everything is said and done at the end of the day, maybe a branch would benefit from having those excessive extensions. So I just really cut what is 100% sure won't be needed in the final design, but otherwise I carry on with the fine wire at this point. One of the challenges with larch is that the window to work on them in the spring is very short. So you may find yourself in a situation where you get to your larch at a point where the buds had already opened. If that's the case, it's okay. You can still wire everything, but you want to make sure that you are super careful not to touch the buds because they're very fragile at this time of the year, and just touching them could create a lot of damage. So you want to be very, you take your time and very carefully wire in between the buds. And yeah, just have a sip of green tea. That will help out quite a bit. Finally, after many hours of fine wiring all of the branches on the tree, It is now time to let your artistic skills show through by setting all of the branches into position, pruning them back, and achieving the design and overall silhouette that you had in mind.